In July 1969, the world watched in awe as a human being walked on the surface of the moon. But behind that moment was a journey shaped by competition, science, and determination. What actually happened on the moon, and why does it still matter today? It started during the Cold War, after the Soviet Union launched Sputnik and sent Yuri Gagarin into orbit. The US knew it had to catch up. President John F. Kennedy set an ambitious goal: land a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth before the decade ended. This challenge gave rise to Project Apollo, NASA's massive mission that united more than 400,000 engineers, scientists, and workers. Their work produced the Saturn V rocket, the most powerful machine ever built, and a new generation of spacecraft designed to carry humans beyond Earth. On July 16, 1969, Apollo 11 launched from Kennedy Space Center. On board were astronauts Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. 4 days later, Armstrong and Aldrin entered the lunar module, Eagle, and descended toward the moon's surface. As the world watched, Armstrong became the first human to step onto the moon. His famous words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," echoed through history. Aldrin soon followed. The two spent about 2.5 hours walking, collecting samples, taking photos, and placing instruments. They returned with 47 pounds of lunar rock and soil. These samples helped scientists understand the moon's volcanic history and its formation. They also left behind a plaque that read, "We came in peace for all mankind," as well as tools that continued transmitting data for years. But not everyone believed it. Conspiracy theories surfaced, some claiming it was all a hoax filmed on Earth. They pointed to the waving flag, strange shadows, and lack of stars. In reality, these are easily explained. The flag moved due to inertia. The shadows followed natural physics under sunlight. Stars weren't visible because the camera exposure wasn't set to capture faint light. Perhaps most convincing, the reflectors left by astronauts still return laser beams from Earth to this day. After Apollo 11, 5 more missions landed successfully on the moon. They drove rovers, set up experiments, and spent more time exploring than ever before. Apollo 17, the final mission in 1972, marked the end of the Apollo era. Now, 50 years later, NASA is preparing to return with the Artemis program. This time, the mission includes building a sustainable presence, landing the first woman and person of color on the moon, and laying the groundwork for future missions to Mars. The moon landing wasn't just a technological feat, it was a symbol of what humanity can achieve when united by purpose. It proved we could dream beyond our planet, and make those dreams real. The question isn't whether we went, it's where we'll go next. After Apollo 11, the world expected space to become our next frontier, and for a while, it was. NASA launched 5 more successful missions to the moon between 1969 and 1972, each one building on the last staying longer, traveling farther, and learning more. Apollo 12 made a pinpoint landing just 200 meters from a previous unmanned probe. Apollo 14 brought better science tools. Apollo 15 introduced the lunar rover, letting astronauts explore miles of terrain. Apollo 16 investigated the moon's highlands, while Apollo 17, the final mission, featured geologist Harrison Schmitt, the first scientist on the lunar surface. That mission brought home over 240 pounds of samples. By 1972, though, things changed. The public's fascination waned, television coverage declined. Some wondered if space was worth the cost, while social and economic issues raged back home. NASA canceled Apollo 18, 19, and 20. No humans have walked on the moon since, yet the moon never stopped calling. Scientists continued to study the samples, satellites mapped its entire surface, and other nations joined the race. The Soviet Union landed robotic rovers. In the 21st century, China landed multiple missions, India explored its South Pole, and private companies began aiming for the moon as well. Why? Because the moon still holds secrets. It preserves ancient records of the early solar system. It has water, ice, and deep craters near the poles vital for survival and fuel. because of the tweaked gravity, it's a perfect launch point for missions to Mars. NASA's Artemis program aims to return not just for exploration, but to build a permanent presence. Artemis, I flew around the moon uncrewed. Artemis 2 will send astronauts around it. Artemis 3 will land humans once more, including the first woman and person of color. This time, we're not just planting flags, we're laying foundations. The plan includes Gateway, a lunar orbiting space station. Lunar bases will test technology for Mars missions. International partners like the European Space Agency and private companies like SpaceX are key players. We've come a long way since 1969. Back then, it was about beating the Soviets. Now, it's about uniting humanity for a shared future. The moon could teach us how to live sustainably in space and push the boundaries of what's possible. And it reminds us of something bigger, that even in times of conflict, humans can look up and work together, that the same moon, shining above all of us, still holds footprints, and maybe soon, it will hold new ones. We went to the moon not just to prove we could, but to learn, to grow, and to dream. The next chapter is beginning. The moon is not the final destination. It's the gateway to what comes next.